Hi guys, welcome back to LPB Racing for the historic Open Wheel Championship on Project Cars 2. This is the special event. There are two tracks. It is going to be Hockenhiem Classic, which we're at now, and it's going to be Monaco, which will be the second race. They are both pit stop races that will last 40 minutes of length. So we've had a 10-minute qualifying session, and Bidzster is on pole from Cyrex, Andrea, Neil Farmack in 4th, Azadar 5th, and the rest of the field as you can see there. So let's get into it, guys. As we go to the race, 17 laps of Hockenhiem with a pit stop, and we're off, and it's a good start for Blakeney in the middle. Blakeney gets a good start, and then Callum's left on the line, so must have selected the wrong gear. Into the first corner, Neil Farmack and a few others very close together as you go into the first corner. Stevie and Spapper side by side, but everyone safely through the first few corners. Nice work there by everyone. As we look down the grid, obviously Andrea has got a drive-through penalty for this one because he had a penalty from the last race and he's accumulated too many 5 and 10 second penalties, so it's a drive-through. So he's got to be really careful with the next few incidents that he gets involved in as you go into the chicane then. And Bidzster from Cyrex, Neil, everyone else nicely cleanly through the chicane as well, so good driving standards here as well. As we look at a bunch of trees there. As we look at Andrea, who's right behind Neil Farmack down towards the second chicane, which is a little tiny left-right, and then we go round a right-hand corner over the curbs. Neil Farmack ahead of Andrea. Neil Farmack ahead of Andrea, and everyone else nicely through there. Stevie's further back here with Azadar Blade, who will manage to play the Ferrari card and talk himself out of a 5-second penalty, which I'm not very impressed by, but he only gets one, so he can only talk himself out of it once, and after that there'll be no sort of arguments really. As we go into the inside, Stevie bang up the inside of Blakeney, and the contact's inevitable there, and then Blakeney runs into the back of Azadar Blade as well, and Stevie patiently waiting for Blakeney to rejoin, and Azadar, they're around here somewhere, and there they are, they've got going. So now a little incident there, we'll get a replay on how that started. The Stevie Azadar Blakeney incident on board with Stevie, so he breaks way too late, and then bang, hits the side of Blakeney, takes him off, and then he goes backwards into Azadar, but Stevie does wait for him, and then they rejoin, but just a mistake there from Stevie. As we come back from that then, Bidzster in the lead of the race from Cyrex in second place in the yellow car, and then it's Neil Farmack, Andrea in third, Neil Farmack in fourth, as we go up and over the top. There's the top four there, nicely close together. Cyrex goes a bit wide there, he goes very wide, and Andrea takes second, but remember Andrea's got the drive-through, he's got to serve that within the first 3 laps, and then remember on lap 3 the pit lane window opens, and then it'll close on the end of lap 15 and the start of lap 16 it'll close, so got quite a long time to make the pit stops as Callum comes into the pits for some reason. So Callum comes into the pits, I don't know why he's into the pits, but he is, so unless he's not comfortable with the rubber or something, but Callum into the pit lane, Bidzster then in the lead. TY and Spapper close together, Spapper goes off, TY goes through. As we look at Cyrex and Andrea very close together, Andrea's took Cyrex for second place, so Andrea takes second from Cyrex, and Cyrex trying to keep behind him and just trying to push him up along. As we've got Stevie, Azadar and Blake all close together as well through the first chicane. Azadar Blade pushing Stevie from behind. So as you guys can probably see from last week, Azadar did move across and take Blakeney off. He allegedly said, Azadar, that there's not really enough room to go side by side there. Well then, how come everyone else managed it, Azadar? Well, we'll soon find it. Well, you know, if you can just go back on the replay and have a look. You clearly moved across and took Blakeney out, but you managed to pull the Ferrari card and talk yourself out of it, so I'm not letting that happen again. As we go down the straight, Stevie with Blakeney trying to come through the middle, he's past Azadar and he's up the inside of Stevie now into the chicane. Let's have a look. Where the camera goes, funny as a switch, and I think Blakeney got him, yes he did. Blakeney got the position from Stevie, and Stevie's still right behind him down the straight, trying to pull out and then uses the grass, and Azadar will take advantage of that, go around the outside. Stevie tries to go for the inside, defends from Azadar. Stevie remains in 8th place as Azadar behind him trying to look for a way through. Leaders are still pretty spread, I think. Oh no, they're not, as Andrea comes into the pits for his drive-through then. Andrea into the pits for his drive-through, waiting until the end of lap 2 to take his drive-through penalty. Well, he's taking that now as Bidzster goes through with Sarex behind Neil Farmack in 3rd, TY in 4th, and then we've got Blakeney and Azadar close together. So Stevie's gone backwards there, must have made a mistake. Blakeney and Azadar close together then, out of the turn 1, down the straight. Blakeney will try and keep in the middle of the road. Azadar will have the draft as Andrea comes out the pits from his drive-through. It took a long drive-through, but he might have, I hope he didn't change his tyres because that will slow him down. But yep, Andrea comes out in 10th place. Callum at the back after having an awful start to this race. There he is. So at the back there he goes as Blakeney and Azadar still close together down towards the 2nd chicane. Azadar in the draft behind Blake. And you don't get much of a draft in these cars because there's not exactly what you call aerodynamics to them. They are completely mechanical grip. There's not really any aero to these cars, so that's why they rely on big fat tyres to get them around the corners. As Azadar comes right up to the back of Blakeney and has to avoid because he went into the corner too fast. So Azadar Blade falls back off the back of Blakeney there. There's TY and Spapper further ahead. There's TY in the blue car and then Spapper behind in the red one. Slightly close as the leaders are quite close now. So Sarex trying to keep with Bidzster here. So Sarex ahead of Sarex behind Bidzster. Bidzster ahead of Sarex into the stadium section. This car very slidey round here. Obviously the all mechanical grip, so the front end turns in and the back end just wants to slide as we go round the stadium section into the last couple of corners, and the pit window will be open once they cross the line this time. So pit lane window's open now, sorry. So pit lane window already open. That's the end of lap 2, on to the start of lap 3 it opens. Now they're going on to the start of lap 4. Bidzster defending now from Sarex because he's right up behind him. So Bidzster defends from Sarex and then onto the straight. Sarex gets a good run. Will he move out? Bidzster gives him a little move across. And then Sarex goes up the inside. Side by side down the straight then, the two Lotuses. Just about going to top out at the end of the straight, these cars do, as Bidzster goes onto the grass and it sucks him in a little bit, just trying to give Sarex a bit of room. But you see, two cars can go side by side after that, and Bidzster and Sarex did it. Now, I know it's I know this track's a tiny bit wider than Spa, but it's not much wider. So yep. If you wonder if you think I'm having a stab, then yes I am, because frankly I'm quite annoyed about the situation. But Azadar goes through into 5th position. And Callum then into 9th as TY is into the pits. We've had a few people pit already, so Bradders is in the pits. TY is around here somewhere, he's pitted as well I think. Andrea, no he's not. Callum, yeah, so we've got TY, Callum and Bradders, who by the looks of it who have pitted already. So looks like they've done their pit stops. And Stevie then in 7th place. He's trying to catch up to Blakeney, but reeling him in slowly, but not exactly what you call a big rate of knots. As Sarex then in the lead of the race. Sarex takes the lead from Bidzster, obviously, as we saw earlier. So Sarex in the lead, but if you look, he's pulling away. He's pulling away slightly from Bidzster as well. So Sarex in the lead of the race then, and starting to pull a little gap on Bidzster as well, which is good for him, but not good for Bidzster. Bidzster will want to try and keep close to him, especially when it comes towards near the pit stops. So, because every little helps as they both slide into the corner, through the stadium section, a little bit of camber to help you, and then up through the left, right, down towards the last two corners, slide the car into the apex, and Sarex runs a bit wide there. Bidzster will close up a little bit, but again, not close enough to make a move as of yet. Meanwhile, here's Blakeney in 6th place. He's got Stevie behind Azadar in front, about an equal gap between both. Oh, and Stevie goes off, so it's not an equal gap anymore, because Stevie's just made it life a bit easier for Blake and goes off the track. So Stevie struggling to keep consistent with this car. It is a harder car to drive, so but he's not doing too bad. He's only lost a few seconds. So Stevie on the move then. Sarex goes down to the Chicane with Bidzster on his tail now, so Bidster's closing in, drifting that car through them corners. Bidster's on it, and obviously Bidzster loves these older cars and that, so that's why he's doing quite well in the championship. But again, his rival in the championship or his rivals are Cyrex and Neil and Andrea, so we've got to be careful not to let Cyrex take too many points, but we'll see how we go as we go through the second corners. Bidzster goes through. I thought Cyrex made a mistake there. I didn't know if he'd be able to go to the inside and hold on to it, that's why I hesitated, but still Bidzster takes the lead back. So Bidzster takes the lead back from Cyrex, and down the straight we go. Cyrex in the draft. Will he go for a move into the third chicane? Nope, he's not, because he's not close enough yet, and Bidzster keeps the position as Cyrex headbutts a tyre stack there. So yep, there's nothing like headbutting a tyre stack with your head exposed. So down the straight then Cyrex pulls out onto the outside. He's got a decent run here on Bidzster on the outside, but Bidzster will have the defensive line on the inside. Break into the corner, and still side by side out the corner as well. Cyrex is keeping the inside for the hairpin. Bidzster goes around the outside and drifts himself in front of Cyrex. Oh, that was brilliant. It looked like he pulled a handbrake on, but all you did to do that was just ride the brake into the corner, then press the brake a bit harder as you go into the first bit of the corner. And Bidzster sliding the car all over the place, so clearly wanting to push hard here and try and get away from Cyrex. So sliding the car all over the place, well, that's not going to help without the corner traction. It's just going to burn your rear tyres up and warm them up. But Bidzster then stays ahead of Cyrex for now, but then onto the back straight. We'll just have a little check on Blakeney and Arzadar and Stevie. So Blakeney in front of Arzadar still. Stevie going back into the hands of Andrea shortly, because there's Stevie and there's Andrea through the same shot. So only a few seconds between them as well. Remember, we've got to watch out for the pit stops in this as well, as Bidzster then goes down towards the chicane with Cyrex in tow. Still close together over the curbs. Oh, little mistake there from Bidzster that could open a door for Cyrex, but again, no, not close enough to actually capitalise, as Blakeney then keeps Arzadar at bay for now. Down the straight there, going towards the first chicane as well. There's Stevie there, and then Andrea. Just looking to see if anyone's pitted yet. No, TY obviously is pitted with Bradders and Callum, I think, so they've all pitted as well. So Arzadar bled then with Blakeney behind now, so Arzadar in front of Blakeney then. And trying to pull away if he can. And Blakeney trying to catch up. Stevie trying to catch up to this bunch as well. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is still on. Lap 6 out of 17, and the battle for the lead still reigns on. Bidzster versus Cyrex. Remember, double points are at stake in in one of these races, which will be Monaco. This one is not a double points race. So I'm so used to both races being double points, but this one is not double points. This one is regular points, and then Monaco will be double. So we've got to fight a bit longer in this one for the normal points. Again, it's providing good entertaining racing here. We've got Bidzster and Cyrex very close together, within half a second of each other, as Bidzster throws it into the corner. Cyrex tries to do the same as well to try and keep up with him. As Arzadar, Blakeney go into the chicane, and Stevie there closes up. You can see the name as the camera tries to catch up with Blake, because Blake was on the grass. So Blake goes wide out the corner onto the grass, and this car very twitchy under power as well. It's got a lot of power underneath it, and obviously no aero, it's all mechanical grip. As the cars hunker down at the front as they brake into the stadium and out of it again. Arzadar and Blakeney very close together. I think there's probably less than a second in it now, less than a second, maybe half a second at some points when they concertina into the corner. Spapper further ahead as well, who's Arzadar's catching. But no one else has decided to pit yet. Bidzster and Cyrex still going round. Still not deciding to pit yet as we go up and over the curbs. 1, 2, out of it. And then Neil Farmack in third position, coming up to the first chicane. There he is, all on his own in third. Spapper's round here in fourth. He's been caught by Arzadar and Blakeney in the background, and Stevie's trying to catch on to the back as well. Andrea is round here somewhere as well. She's trying to tag onto the back of this as well. So Andrea, after the drive-through penalty, is going straight off after Stevie, Blakeney and co up front. So that's going to be a nice little battle that will should see itself unfold in the next few laps. Braking for the chicane into into the chicane. Andrea, a nice quick line through there. Looks like it's only a matter of time before he gets right behind Stevie as we look back at Bidzster and Cyrex in the lead of this race then. Bidzster pulling out a little gap on Cyrex now, about 1 second ahead of him. So Bidzster getting his head down here as we are not too far off halfway distance, but still got a little bit of a way to go yet. As we hit the brakes, the car hunkers down and then power on out the corner. Cyrex doing well in second, as well as Spapper now being closed in by Arzadar Blade and the rest of the pack there. You can see behind quite quickly here. So Razor catching up to Spapper, and then Blakeney and Andrea, and Stevie's gone back behind Andrea now. So Andrea's passed Stevie. So Andrea passes Stevie there, and Stevie there in the white car gets took back to 8th place. But remember, the top 8 have not pitted yet. So we'll have to see what's going to happen between them as Bidzster and Cyrex go over the line. They're not choosing to pit yet. Through the first corner we go. As we look back at Blakeney there in 6th position. And Razor's catching up to the back of Spapper. Hopefully there'll be enough room to run side by side. Arzadar goes down into the stadium. Spapper pits. So Spapper into the pits for his mandatory pit stop as we watch the camera of him coming into the pits. So he slows down, the line's just there. Where the red cone was there, that's where the line is, and into the pits goes Spapper for his mandatory pit stop as Blake and Andrea are side by side down towards the first corner. Remember, these two are teammates, so Blake sensibly lets Andrea go, and hopefully Andrea will be able to pull him up to the front, guys. So Andrea and Blakeney working well as a team here. So Andrea's got the pace, Blakeney's going to follow him and try and let him pull him up to Arzadar Blade. So good stuff here by the two teammates. As Spapper then just exiting the pit box and working his way down the pit lane on the limiter, down to the end of the pit lane. Where's TY? There's TY coming through. Where's Spapper going to rejoin? We'll wait till we get to the green cones. There we go. Limiter off. Go, go, go. TY's round here somewhere. There he is. TY takes the position then. TY takes that position, and that will put him in a good position probably to get further up the grid later on as Arzadar's slowing down. So Arzadar's made a mistake somewhere. He's been passed by Andrea and Blake, so something major happened to Arzadar Blade there. Stevie's now right behind him into the second chicane, pushing hard. So we'll just get a little replay on what happened to Arzadar there. What was Arzadar Blade? You see what happened to him on lap 8 to come to the chicane. He shortcuts that first bit, which then gives him a slowdown penalty. So he slows down offline and then lets the others go through. So slows right down. He has to give up the position, I think, or two, and then has to keep slowing down, and then he eventually gets going. As we come back from that then, Arzadar still with Stevie behind him after that little off there. As we go down to the next corner then, let's have a look at the leaders then. Bidzster and Cyrex, will any of them pit this lap? Cyrex is in! Cyrex is into the pits then. Cyrex comes into the pits. There we go. So Bidzster now will have to put his foot down and try and see if he can come out in front. But Cyrex into the pits then. Neil Farr, that's Bradders going through because they've just lapped Bradders there. Now let's see if Cyrex, he comes into the pits and stops in his box. And up onto the jacks he goes as Neil Farmack comes in as well. So the two teammates deciding to pit at the same time. So we should see Neil come through. There he is. So Cyrex is still in his pit box. And gets going. Oh, he might have sped there. He might have sped in the pit lane. Yep, he definitely did there. He sped in the pit lane, so that could be a massive penalty added on to Cyrex's race time. So we'll have to see what happens at the end of the race with that, but that could ruin things. But Bidzster then, round here somewhere, he will be on the move. Go, go, go. Where's Cyrex? He's come out the pits in second. He's still kept his position. Andrea's there in third. Where's Neil Farmack coming down the pit lane? There he is. He's coming down the pit lane. Stevie and Arzadar are in as well. So busy pit lane now. Has Blake pitted? No, he hasn't. Where's Neil Farmack then? He's coming down the pit lane. He's going to come out fifth with Blake and Andrea in front. But remember, they've not pitted yet. So Arzadar and Stevie into their pit boxes then. TY's just coming round the last corner and Spapper's coming round into the last section as well. So that could end up being close as Bidzster then with his foot down, trying to get as far ahead as he can. His Bradders in the distance behind, he's just lapped. So Bidzster on the move. Cyrex trying to close in the gap. There's Andrea, Blake, and then Neil's round here somewhere. I'm just trying to get the camera sorted out, guys. Sorry about this. As Spapper comes through, He is still with TY. There he is. Spapper rejoins in front of Stevie. And Arzadar comes out in 9th place. So Arzadar comes back out in 9th. So we'll have to wait for the rest of the pit stops to finish to see what's going to happen as Bidzster comes round, sliding his way through the stadium, pushing hard to try and get as much of a gap as he can. Now, will he pit this lap? I would imagine he will, because trying to keep track position to Cyrex, he'll push hard for this lap and try and come in. Is he? Yes! Bidzster is into the pits now, so it's now up to Cyrex to try and keep pushing on that outlap as Bidzster slides towards the line. Last minute as possible to slow down. As Stevie then right behind Spapper. Stevie and Spapper together on track. 7th and 8th positions respectively. Into the chicane we go. Both very cautious lines through there. Get the power on out of the corner. Don't use the curb on the inside, otherwise you'll end up spinning round. So let's look at the leaders then. Bidzster's in the pit box. He's just coming down. He's got the first pit box and now he's on the move. So Bidzster's on the move down the pit lane. Cyrex is coming round the last corner now. This is going to be close. So Cyrex coming down the straight. Bidzster's coming out the pit lane. There's Bidzster coming out the pit lane. Now the limiter's off. Go, go, go. Where's Cyrex? There he is. He's in front of him, but he's got to get up to speed yet. Let's have a look. Let's have a look with Cyrex. There he is. Yeah, up to speed. So Bidzster rejoins ahead of Cyrex then. So Bidzster retains the lead. And Blakeney is still in 3rd and 4th for Andrea. But remember, they have not pitted yet. Andrea and Blake have not pitted yet, so they'll be going quite far into the race, I would imagine, if they're going to be doing this. So Spapper back down in 7th, Stevie behind in 8th. So obviously we'll get the full order once all the pit stops have been done, but it depends where when they do the pit stops, because they've got up to the end of lap 15 to do the pit stops, and then once they start 16, that's it. But that's still quite a way off. So Bidzster and Cyrex then into the chicane. Cyrex pushing to try and stay with Bidzster here as we go out of that chicane through the long curve and down to the back. Now, Bradders is there. That's Bidzster's teammate. Will he make it easy for these guys? Down to the chicane. Bradders is still getting used to his new wheel. He's not doing too bad. There's Bidzster now right behind him. So I would imagine he'll let him go out this corner. Yes, he does. He keeps to the left. Nicely lets him go, and he'll probably let Cyrex go as well. Good gentlemanly driving there by Bradders. Nicely gets out of the way and doesn't compromise his teammate's gap. So good job there by Bradders. Good observing of the blue flag. So well done to him. There's Blakeney then in 4th position. Remember, he's still not pitted yet, so Neil Farmack's going to have a nice gap on him when they finish. So Neil Farmack comes through. Is Blake just going to let him go? Because they're not really, well, I know they're fighting for track position, but they're not really in the same battle on track. Neil's in quite a solid, what would be 3rd place after all these pit stops are finished. There's brake. And Blakeney goes back through, because I think Neil goes a bit wide. No, he doesn't. Neil takes a position, so will Andrea or Blakeney pit this lap? We'll have to see. Will Andrea come into the pit, so he's going to still keep going round? He's going to keep going round. Where's Blake? There's Blake. Blake's still not pitted yet, remember. Let's see if he comes into the pits this time. Following Neil round, will he rely on Neil's draft or will he pit? He's going to rely on Neil's draft. He's going to try and stick with him. So meanwhile, Cyrex and Bidzster then, they've been battling all race. Still 4/10 of a second between the two leaders here. Bidzster and Cyrex at the front, dominating proceedings so far. Into the first chicane. So we're over halfway now as Bidzster slides the car through the chicane. Beautiful car control there as we go out of that chicane down the straight. Neil Farmack and Blakeney still close together, but remember, theoretically on track they're not very close, because Andrea and Blakeney have still not pitted yet. And Spapper back down in 7th place then. Stevie, I think I heard a car go off there. Was that? Oh no, it was alright. It was Stevie running a little bit wide. Just lifting off the power. As they go over the line then. To start lap 11 for them, round the first corner. Stevie trying to stick with Spapper here, but Spapper's not doing bad on pace so far in this one. And Andrea comes through, he's up on the curb. That's very brave stuff up on that curb. Really brave indeed, because that curb you can go up on the inside, the wheels will catch, and then you'll end up just spinning round completely. So let's have a look at the leaders again then. So Bidzster and Cyrex still a second between them, but Cyrex is falling back from Bidzster here, so Bidzster pulling a rabbit out of the hat here, trying to get some pace down and get a foot down. So remember, this race is normal points, there is no double points in this one. That is in the next race that we go to at Monaco. They go into the hairpin. Bidzster sliding the car in. Cyrex follows him into that corner, slides the back end of the car into the apex. Up over the curbs. Kicking up a little bit of dust, trying to push as hard as he can. Down this last section. Cyrex looks like he's catching up through this last section here. As Bidzster has a massive little slide there, a little tang slapper on the way out the corner, but all's well that ends well. As Neil Farmack then back behind Blakeney, so Neil must have made a mistake and Blakeney got through. So Neil Farmack not helping himself out here, but in fact, to be honest with you, I don't think Blakeney's helping himself out with battling. He could do with pitting and getting some clean track, but Blakeney keeps on going and holding up Neil Farmack. Down the start-finish straight, Neil Farmack behind him. Will he go for a move to the inside? He looks out, but not going to go for it just yet. He's going to bide his time. As Blakeney goes wide there, he might have to back off because of a penalty. Because of the track limits, he might have to, we'll have to see. But they're side by side down the straight anyway. Neil versus Blakeney. And Neil goes through, so Blakeney obviously did have to back off for a penalty then. So Neil goes through, Blakeney still having to back off. So if you go all four wheels over the white line at the first corner, it does give you a slow down warning, otherwise you will get a penalty for track limits. Obviously I let the game do it now because a lot of people used to complain before, which I still don't get why people complain, because the actual penalties in the game are a lot worse than the penalties that I used to dish out, but still, that's what's happened. We go out of here, into the chicane goes Blakeney, trying to keep with Neil. Still one of the closest battles on track. As you can see there, the gap now increasing. Bidzster increasing the gap over Cyrex here. Down to the stadium, the most technical part of the Hockenhiem track, apart from obviously all the little chicanes that it's got, but sliding the car into the apex. Let's have a look at Cyrex as he slid the car into the apex. We couldn't really see there because the camera took ages to transition. All good so far. As Spapper then down the straight, he's in 9th place, trying to catch up to Stevie. He's a bit far back, and Arzedar's only 4.5 seconds behind him. Love the cars, these cars, brilliant to drive. You can really drive them on the edge, and you can push them quite hard. Front end a little bit of understeer at first, then it grips mid corner, then you get understeer on the way out, but then you counteract the understeer with putting the power on to make it kick out at the back for a bit of oversteer. It's really fun to drive these cars. Proper old school driving. As Bidzster goes on the grass a bit there, probably loses concentration slightly. But yeah, these drivers back in the day had stones of steel because obviously driving these cars, which were basically 170-mile-an-hour coffins that go sideways, because these things crash, they usually explode into flames. So all safeties come on a lot in 50 or 60 years. It's come on a hell of a lot. But still, these cars, one of the best in history, because it's just so much mechanical grip and none of this aerodynamic nonsense, and it's all down to the driver to make it go quick. It really is showing here. The cars are really hopping them over the curbs, sliding them into the corners. Absolutely brilliant way of driving. And also 3 pedals. Real drivers use 3 pedals. It's a clutch pedal. So, and a H pattern gearbox as well, 5-speed H pattern. So, brake, blip the throttle, use the clutch, all 3 at once. Proper test of true driving. There's a look back at TY in 5th place, then he's back here in 5th. He's trying to catch up to Andrea, but Andrea's got some good pace at the moment. Blakeney has he done his stop yet? Yes, he must have done, because he's come out in between Stevie and Spapper. So Blakeney's done his pit stop, but look how much it's hurt him. Blakeney's done his pit stop, but look, he's come out behind Stevie. But he's come out in front of Spapper and Arzadar though, but he's come out behind Stevie, so Stevie's obviously done well after the pit stops. He's ahead at the moment. Andrea then, the only car that's not pitted. Well, he's technically pitted because he's done a drive-through penalty, but he's not actually officially done his mandatory pit stop yet. So if he doesn't do it, then he'll be in serious trouble at the end, which will probably result in a disqualification, as Bradders very nicely there gets out of the way and lets Andrea go through as we try and look at him, but the camera goes funny. There he is. TY, the next car behind him in line. Let's look at Andrea going down to the stadium. Bidzster's ahead at the front by 2 seconds on the lap 14, as Andrea just coming to the end of lap 13 in this race, sliding the car into the banked stadium corner. And now TY catching up to Bradders, who very gentlemanly slows down and lets him go through. A good observant driving there by Bradders. Again, if you want to join LPB Racing, guys, you're more than welcome to. We're looking for more slots, more people to fill the slots. We can have up to 16 people on. We've got roughly 11 to 12 at the moment. So if you are interested, then find us on Facebook, LPB Racing on Facebook. That's Lima Papa Bravo, so LPB on Facebook, and we will try and get you in and get you an assessment done and get you online and get you racing. So we should have we've got a couple of people that's just recently joined us, so if you are wanting to join, then still we've got a few spots available. So if you are wanting to join, just pop us a request and we will try and see what we can do for you. As LPB Racing, we are a clean racing group, and we're all just basically a bunch of lads that come on, and we're just having once a week on each game, and we love to have some racing. There's obviously there on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. Thursday nights are this one, Project Cars, and Tuesday nights are the GT Sport races. So that's 8 until 10 o'clock British time. So that's in the evening. So yeah, it'd be nice if you could join us, guys. As we look back at Bidzster in the lead, then 8 seconds out of SHAREx now. So really getting his foot down, Bidzster here, up over the line. So what the lap time is at the top corner, it's a 2:08.3. SHAREx's lap, let's have a look at SHAREx. He's coming up to the line now. So look at SHAREx's lap time here, and it's a 2:18, so he must have made a big mistake on that lap of SHAREx. So SHAREx makes a mistake, and that's how Bidzster gets the gap. So Neil Farmack in third, his teammate, so it looks like it's going to be a 2-3 for that team, and more teams points in the bag. As Arzadar Blade's past Spapper here, so Arzadar Blade in front of the red car Spapper, so Spapper struggling slightly in this car. But again, Spapper and Andrea have been practicing for Monaco quite a lot, so they're just trying to adapt to this race, and they're really focused on getting more points in the Monaco race because it's double points, so which will be good. As Blakeney then in 7th place, he's trying to catch up to Stevie, who you can see there, he's only 4 seconds ahead. It's not much of a gap, so anything could happen still. As Andrea has still not pitted yet. He's got to pit this lap, otherwise he's going to face trouble. So Andrea must pit in this lap, because he has obviously done the drive-through, but that won't count as his official stop. So he needs to pit once more, unless he's done it under the radar and I've not seen, but we'll have to see as we go towards the end of the race then. Spapper's in front of Arzadar again, so Arzadar must have made a mistake somewhere, so Spapper gains 8th place. There's Arzadar behind. There's Bidzster in the lead of the race then by 7.8 seconds from SHAREx. So Bidzster, nice comfortable lead now. All he needs to do is just bring it home to get the full points. Remember, he got pole position, so it'll be an extra point anyway. So, but we'll have to see if he can get fastest lap, because that between him and SHAREx, they've been quite even on pace really. So it's SHAREx could pull another rabbit out of the hat and steal the fastest lap away like he usually does, because he's quite good at doing that, SHAREx, and it's a good trait to have, but every single extra point counts. As we go out the last corner then, as the pit window will close once they cross the line, so Bidzster's crossed the line, so his pit window is closed now, so this is the last lap to do pit stops. SHAREx comes through. Let's have a look at SHAREx's lap this time, so 2:08.7 for Bidzster and a 2:08.9 for SHAREx, so very close lap times there. As Andrea comes down the straight then, we've got to see if Andrea's going to pit this lap, because he needs to do his mandatory pit stop. If he doesn't do it this time, then he's in trouble, because a drive-through doesn't count as a mandatory pit stop. Into the hairpin. He should pit this lap. If he doesn't, he's either pitted before and I've not seen it, or he's just completely forgot to do his pit stop, and he'll get probably a DQ. Let's see if he pits. No, he does not. So controversy in the air then. We will have to see if Andrea does his pit stop, but it's too late now. He's crossed the line, his pit window's closed, so we'll have to see what happens later on in the race then. So we'll have to see what happens after in the results. As Azadar goes through in 9th place there, he's still trying to catch up to Spapper. Got Callum in 10th, we've not seen him much in this race. He's lapped Bradders, who was actually the one position behind him. But there's Bradders on the start-finish line. I beg your pardon, he's not lapped him, I beg your pardon. He's just a little bit further ahead as Callum then. He's going to get lapped by Bidzster. Callum might get lapped here by Bidzster, the race leader, who's coming up behind him. So Callum slows down and lets Bidzster go through. Wow, how times change with the different games. On GT Sport, Callum's usually lapping other people, but on Project Cars 2, he's still struggling with the to get the setup right and with the wheel. So yep, poor old Callum. He's down in the 10th place. He's being lapped by Bidzster, his rival on GT Sport, and that'll be a bit of a kick in the teeth for him. But Andrea goes round. Obviously, he's still not done his pit stop yet, but again, it'll be, even if he does it now, it's too late because the pit window's closed, so it won't count. So Andrea then races under a dark cloud as Blakeney goes down the little bent straight towards the chicane. He's got Stevie in front by 5 seconds, so Stevie keeping that gap to Blakeney quite nice. As Bradders goes off a little bit behind, but manages to gather it up. So Bidzster then on to his last lap of the race, lap 17 for Bidzster. Comes down towards the chicane with Callum behind. Obviously he's a lap down. Cyrex is the next person nearest Bidzster as he goes over the curbs there. There's Cyrex, he's coming down towards a little curve in the straight as well, towards the first chicane, so 12.5 second gap between him and the leader. Into the chicane we go. Oh, breaks a bit deep into there, but gets away with it. 207.6 for Bidzster last time round, so brilliant lap there from him. As Neil Farmack goes across the line in 3rd, Andrea in 4th, but remember he's racing under a cloud, he might have not done his pit stop. And TY in 5th. Stevie in 6th so far, sliding the car through the corner. But Bidzster utterly dominant in this race. Kept Cyrex off for a lot of it. Cyrex got in front for a while in the early part of the race, but Bidzster then fought back, got through, got the gap and stayed ahead. So, but remember Cyrex, he did speed in the pit lane, so he might have a penalty carrying on top of that as well, and it'll probably be a harsh one because Project Cars does give you harsh penalties for speeding in the pit lane. So we will see. Stevie got one earlier on in the championship. He got a 52nd one, so which didn't really help him out. As Bidzster then comes up to the stadium for the last time, drifting his way out the corners. You can hear him on the throttle having a bit of fun now because he's 12.2 seconds ahead. Braking to the last corner, drifts it sideways. Oh dear, Bidzster showing off a bit there, and then slides it through the last corner as well. And he's going to come through to win the race. Bidzster wins the race. Well done, Bidzster. Maximum points. Bidzster wins the race. Good drive by Bidzster. He wins. Cyrex is going to come through in 2nd as Callum comes over the line because he got lapped. So Callum in 10th. Cyrex is going to come through in 2nd. Good race for Cyrex there. He goes through into 2nd place. Neil Farmack is going to end up being 3rd. 3rd place for Neil Farmack as we come through the stadium. He's not quite there yet. Let's look back at Blakeney as he closed on Stevie anymore. No, he hasn't. So we're all a bit more spread out now in this race. But again, that can be the nature of Hockenhiem sometimes. Neil Farmack then coming through. Had a bit of a boring race. Neil really had a bit of entertainment with Blakeney halfway through. But once Blakeney came in for his stop, he's had it quiet ever since. But Neil Farmack takes the last place on the podium. So both cars on the podium for Cyrex and Neil. And then Andrea in 4th, but remember a cloud hanging over his head because did he do his mandatory pit stop or not? We'll have to see. TY comes through in 5th, a good finish for TY. 5th place for him, he'll be happy with that. Stevie is going to come through in 6th position. If we go through the last few corners, there he goes. Nicely through the last couple of turns, and Stevie is going to take 6th place as we go over the line. 6th place for Stevie, well done mate. 6th for you. Blakeney in 7th position. Well done to Blake. And then Spapper is going to come through in 8th. As Bradders just in front of him, he'll finish in 11th. So Spapper in 8th position. And Arzadar will be the last of the finishers on the actual lap in 9th position. So let's get those results confirmed for you now, guys. Here we go, guys. Here's the results. So Bidzster is the winner in that one. Neil finishes in second because Sarex gets a 54-second penalty for a pit lane infringement. So it's Andrea in third, TY fourth, Sarex fifth as we go over the page. Sixth is Stevie, seventh for Blake, and then it's eighth for Spapper. Ninth is Arzadar Blade, and he gets a 10-second penalty as well on top of that as well. Then it's Callum in 10th, Bradders in 11th. So as we come back from that then, Bidzster is your winner in that one. Well done to Bidzster, he wins the race, and we'll see you guys for race 2, which will be the double points race at Monaco. So take care, guys.